All right, welcome into a brand new episode of Rip and Rock. Rocco DeSangro, Ryan Ripken joining you on a Monday here in Baltimore. For some of you. For others, it might be a Sunday. I don't know. Rip, what are you thinking right now?
Whatever it may be. But you know what I am thinking, Rock? I think we got to discuss what was a very entertaining series with the D-backs.
We're going to jump right into it. We're not going to leave you guys hanging out there. The Orioles, they don't sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks, that three-game series with the NL champion Arizona Diamondbacks from a season ago. The Orioles do win 2 of 3, so they didn't get the sweep, but they did win 2 of 3. We are going to talk about the young, talented starting pitcher that could potentially be on his way back sooner rather than later, and what that means for the O's talented rotation going forward. And on top of that, Rip, the up-and-coming, I don't even know if he's an up-and-coming superstar anymore. I think he is a star, and he could be an all-star this season. That's right, we're talking Jordan Westburg as well. On this brand new episode, let's jump right into it, man. The O's, they take care of business, honestly.
Yep.
You're not expected to necessarily sweep a team that went to the World Series this past season. But you know what? They did take 2 of 3. They got the job done, and they looked really good doing it, aside from that third and final game on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, look, just wash away that final game, right? There was just a lot of issues that went on. Just not the cleanest game for the Orioles, but overall, I thought the pitching was extremely good for the entire series. Cole Irvin got it going for the squad there. It's not a Rip and Rock episode either, by the way, if you don't hear possibly Rocco's Apple Watch go off in the background.
Continue. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
No, that's all. Hey, but you know what? That's what we're here for. You can count on 3 things in this, that Rocco and I are going to give you the Orioles content. We're going to have fun, and you're going to hear Siri talk once.
Won't say the name because it'll go off again.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this name for a second here. Cole Irvin, his scoreless inning streak was snapped. But again, fantastic start. Almost, and it was because of you. But
it was not because of me.
So Rocco, by the way, everyone, Rocco, it's a no-go here. You don't tell a guy, which Rocco did. He told Cole Irvin, hey, you've been pitching so well. You've had a scoreless streak. You haven't done that in your career. You don't do that. But it didn't bite Cole Irvin and the Orioles. Yes, he gave up runs. But once again, though, Rock, and I know you sweated it out, he looked spectacular on Friday night, set the tone. Orioles really controlled that game. And I know, I could see you smiling. You're relaxing a little bit right now.
You know what? Listen, we're not going to talk about the fact that the Orioles were wearing their City Connect jerseys, which are basically everyone in this fan base thinks that they're jinxed, even though they did win that game.
They won that game.
We're not going to talk about the fact that the announcers on Apple TV popped up the stat with the longest active scoreless inning streaks, and they were talking about Cole Irvin and talking him up. We're going to talk about something I asked him about, I guess, a week before he started, and he had some time to let it marinate and not think about it anymore. So I guess, it is my fault. I'm just going to take responsibility. Even though it kills me to do so, it is what it is. Shout out to Cole Irvin. I mean, he did pitch a gem. 3 earned, but 2 of them, there were runners he left on base, correct, in that one? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think he might have been, I thought it was 2.
It might have been 2.
Let me check it right now. Sorry. It was 2 runs.
Okay,
close,
so it was 2 runs.
5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs for Cole, and the scoreless inning streak got snapped on a home run to opposite field. But overall, though, fantastic outing from him.
No, he had a fantastic outing and really continues to set the tone. And that's going to really bring us, Rip, into our next topic because, we talk about the Orioles. I don't even know if we want to talk about this game today and what went wrong. It was a lot of things. There was bad weather. The Orioles just didn't play up to their standard of baseball. But you know what? They're not going to do that every single game, man. I mean, they're off to a fantastic start this season, though.
What I'd like to say with that, I thought Dean Kramer pitched actually tremendously well. Error-wise, there was 2 errors by the Orioles in general here. And again, when the game's a little bit sloppy, and it seemed like the Diamondbacks, where when you just got your lunch money taken the first 2 games, yeah, they're going to try to go out there and play a cleaner game, and they did. And especially from the fact that the Orioles came back on them in game 2. Once again, the cardiac birds, or whatever you want to call this team, they refused to quit. The bullpen kept them in the game. Santander hits the homer to center. They go to extra innings, and who's the guy that helps it, and we'll talk about it later. It's Jordan Westburg having the game winner. So again, you took 2, you wash away the 3rd game, and that's all right. What's the motto, Rock?
Win series, avoid sweeps.
And I think the Orioles did just that.
They did.
And they're going to move forward, get ready for the Toronto Blue Jays. But once again, this is why the Orioles are on top, or one of the top teams in all of baseball. And this is why they're going to probably stay on top if they continue to do what they did this series.
And on top of that, before we talk about the rotation, they have one of the coolest owners, if not the coolest owner in baseball. Not every day do you see a billionaire,
With a
someone
B.
who doesn't take himself too seriously as a billionaire, which you love to see because, I'll never make $1 billion in my life. I'll be lucky if I make $1 million over the entire course of my life. But David Rubenstein, he is Baltimore born and bred. He was an Orioles fan from the start. And to see this guy just lean into it, man. He's leaning into this fan base. He is just, honestly, man, immersing himself with Birdland. And It's awesome to see. And what he did, I think in game one, or whenever Cole Irvin was on the mound for that first Friday night game against the Diamondbacks, to have his grand entrance, to walk into the Bird Bath splash zone, to be Ruben Splash, not Rubenstein, for one night, and to really just, I don't know, man. It is really, really cool what he's doing and what he's bringing to Baltimore. He's throwing out hats today for this one. This fan base loves him. He loves this fan base. And honestly, man, I think it is, the future's so bright with him leading the charge. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, he's embodying what Birdland is. And you mentioned that he's from Baltimore. He understands the city. That's why he can embody it. And he entrenched himself. I think that's the beauty of it, is that people were wondering what the next chapter of Orioles baseball would be. Well, it involves David Rubenstein being front and center, not trying to be the show, but to show people, I want to do this with you. I want to walk this experience with you. And that's been the most exciting thing. And you know what? The team's exciting. He's showing that excitement and the fun that the community is also feeling with the team. And he's still being funny with it. Trisha Whitaker, when she was interviewing him on the Friday night Apple TV, it's like, did you ever think 10-year-old David Rubenstein would own the team? Paraphrasing around the question. He's like, well, I hoped I would be a player, not the owner, but I'd rather be out there. But I guess that's, that'd be cool too. But that's the thing. He loves it. The team wins. And I'll be honest here. This is not going to be the last we're going to see of the David Rubenstein being all out and about with the Birdland community.
I mean this in the most respectful way possible. He, to me, right now, is like a little kid on their birthday that just opened their favorite toy, the favorite present, and is just getting to play with it and enjoy it all day long. Not just all day long, all year long. And it is a toy that hopefully for him, the Baltimore Orioles, never gets old. Mm-hmm. And he continues to enjoy it and reap the benefits and bring what this fan base so badly wants. And that's not only, we'll get into it later, but player extensions for certain guys, keep players here in Baltimore, and go out and eventually win a World Series. Big shoes to fill, but I think this is a guy to do it down the line. So no pressure, Mr. Rubenstein. We believe in you.
we certainly do. And you know what? Everyone is believing this Baltimore Orioles team. Yep. They got so many tremendous, talented players. Rock, I think one of which we're about to talk about, who is close to making a return.
Yeah, man. Grayson Rodriguez, when we got that John Means news that he was being activated from the IL and making his first start, we also got the news in that same press release that Grayson Rodriguez was heading to the 15-day IL with right shoulder inflammation. You hate to see that from your young and talented pitcher and a guy that could potentially be an ace in this league when it's all said and done. I mean, he's so young, so talented. He's having such a fantastic season. And then you get a setback, bump in the road. But hopefully it's a minor setback for a major comeback, because Grayson Rodriguez on Sunday was throwing a bullpen session. So that's promising going forward. The question, Rip, obviously Grayson Rodriguez has a spot in the starting rotation. He's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. You're never putting him in the bullpen. Just not going to happen. Who do you put in the bullpen, though, man? Or are you going to a 6-man rotation?
Yeah, that's going to be the $100 billion question. And, actually, side note, I saw Austin Powers 4 might be coming out for a different time. Here. $1 billion. But right now, the Orioles, it's a good problem to have overall. And when you think about this, look, it's like, who do you want to put in the bullpen? Because Cole Irvin's pitched extremely well. John Means and Kyle Bradish had not been asked to do that, except actually way back in the time. John Means has, spent time coming out of the bullpen, but it's been years.
Yeah.
So you look at that and you look at the options. Corbin Burns, he's not going anywhere either. out of that rotation. So the one guy where it has the most flexibility because of recency bias, or sorry, not bias, but of recent situations, it was Cole Irvin in 23. So could you push him? Yes, but you know what? I look at this and I don't know if they'll consider it a 6-man rotation, but with the Orioles only having one off day in June, I still think they stick to a 5-man rotation. I think either Cole or, maybe sleeper could be John Means. I just don't see it with John. I really don't. I think it would be Cole. Is whoever it is, there still might be asked to start again, and it might not be considered a 6-man rotation. They might try to just plant certain ways or certain things depending on how things go. And again, Rock, I'm not knock on wood now. What if someone gets hurt in the process too? And then that answers that question.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think you might see a 5.5-man situation here where they might just play it by ear, see what dictates and how arms are feeling. But it's a luxury, the fact that they have, even you want to consider 7 guys with Albert Suarez in the bullpen that could be called upon to call or to pitch a game and start if need be.
5.5 man seems like a short joke.
Yeah.
I really don't appreciate that right now. I don't appreciate your tone right now, sir. Cole Irvin, he's a hybrid. He can eat innings now, and that's what they brought him over to do from Oakland, be an innings eater. That is what he was not in 2023. And, hate to keep bringing that up, but simply was the case. That's why they sent him down a few starts in to get him right and then bring him back up in the bullpen. And that's where they kept Cole Irvin last season. This year, it's a different story. We're not saying Cole Irvin by default needs to go to the bullpen. We are saying this because Cole Irvin has been there, done that. He can help you out from a bullpen standpoint. But it will be so hard. If that's the case, it's going to be so hard for the O's to take him out of the starting rotation because of how successful he's been, especially over the last 4 or 5 starts. He's been fantastic, man. And you tie in that scoreless inning streak that he had, and you tie in the fact that, he hasn't given up, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, his last 5 starts, I don't think he's given up more than 2 earned. It might have, but his first 2 starts, I think he gave up 9 earned total. His next 5 starts, he's only given up 4 or 5 earned runs combined, and I believe
that's
it's 4.
correct. That's
4.
correct. Since his April 15th start, which would be that was the 5th of this list, he gave up 2 runs in that one. Up until then, he had the 3 scoreless outings, and then this last one, 2 earned runs. So you're right. Over his last 5 outings, 4 total runs given up for Cole Irvin.
Yeah, man, he's been great. But the reason we say that is because he has been there in the bullpen as of, more recently than most guys.
Yeah.
So he could truly help the O's if they're looking for, another long relief pitcher, potentially, a middle reliever that can give you like a couple innings, maybe more. That's not a bad problem to have. And if you need him to start a game, he can. But I'm still not sold on moving Cole Irvin to the bullpen right now. I want to see him in the starting rotation because he has been shoving as of late, and that's what you want to continue to see him do.
And you know what? That's the part of we're giving what they could do. Personally, what I would like to see them do, I would like to see Cole continue to get the ball every 5th day, or if they do 6. I know the Orioles are against the 6-man rotation, and I completely understand it because you want to keep a routine for these pitchers. But also, I'm a guy that is pitching well. I'm a believer when someone's pitching well and they're one of your starters, you let them keep going. And I know Albert Suarez in this case was pitching well, but you always knew that he was going to kind of be the guy that would move on from, being in that starting rotation because of the experience, I guess the track record. It was his first time being up in the big leagues in 7 years. That's not the same with Cole. Cole has been in the big leagues. But when he got traded over from Oakland, he had pitched a lot of innings over there over the last couple seasons for the A's, had success. So people understood of what Cole is capable of doing. And then it's kind of riding the hot hand. Cole's hot right now. And you want to give your chance the best opportunity to win. I believe Cole does that. So if that's the case, would they ever flirt with the idea of John Means? Yeah, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Dean Kramer, no chance. Dean had another 10 strikeouts today. Dean's looked fantastic this year. Bradish, Corbin, not going anywhere either. No, so, but again, at least for the immediate time until Grayson is fully going or whenever he makes his, his outing, I want Cole to ride it out as long as he can possibly go as a starter.
While we're talking about bullpen, before we jump into our Westburg talk, I just wanted to say this because Craig Kimbrel, it has been, talk about the ups and downs of a season.
Yep.
That's a guy that was, it looked like some dark times for Craig Kimbrel the past couple of appearances before this series. Then he goes out in the 7th inning, and Brandon Hyde, he kind of switched things up. He asked Kimbrel if he's cool with it. Kimbrel, what's he going to say? I mean, you put him in a low-pressure situation, basically, with the lead in the 7th, and he retires the Diamondbacks in order 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then, okay, you talk about low pressure to high pressure, night and day. Then they're like, all right, Craig, you're going to pitch the 11th of this extra innings game. We're going to bring you in here. And, oh, not to mention, Rip, with the extra innings rules, there's already a runner on second. So Craig Kimbrel can't do anything about that. That's what you're given. That's what any relief pitcher is given if they take the mound in extra innings. So Craig Kimbrel not only taking the mound in the 11th when it's a high-pressure situation for the O's, someone is already on base, and he didn't put them there. So you know what, Craig Kimbrel, maybe you were sweating, Birdland. Maybe you lost faith. But you know who didn't lose faith? A couple of guys sitting right here. We're just hoping Craig Kimbrel continues to turn it around, and he can return to the Craig Kimbrel that we saw, the first 11 appearances of the season before this. I don't even want to call it a collapse. I just want to call it a bump in the road.
It was just a rough stretch.
It was a rough patch, man. It was a rough patch.
And so for all the ones that are saying, move on, he's washed, this is why it grinds my gears. And I know we'll move on to the last subject here, but this is how a Major League Baseball season works. And with a guy that has the track record that Craig Kimbrel has, and it'd be one thing if he didn't show what he was capable of doing this year. And people are quick to forget, in his first, I think it was 7 outings for the Orioles, 0 walks. And he first 11 outings, he was very, very on point. And then
I have the numbers. Keep going.
Yeah,
I'm going to find
and
them.
then 4 or 5 outings. Yeah, you're right. It was shaky. It was not his best. And he is one batter away from getting the save with Washington and getting out of it. But you know what happened? Mentally, something kind of shocked him. Maybe he was physically still not feeling good, but you could tell something was off. But the thing that I love, and this is why I am still a firm believer in Craig Kimbrel, his stuff looks good. His competition level is high. And I am a guy that's going to trust a future Hall of Famer that he is going to figure it out because he has been through so many ups and downs of his career. I did not doubt in my mind that this was a problem. I talked about it on the socials. I've talked about it on my own independent work. I said, I am not pushing a panic button on Craig Kimbrel. Give it time. It's May. And he rewards the Birdland faithful with 2 tremendous outings, one that led to an Orioles victory.
You know, it was not funny, but it's just like Philly fans were very quick to kind of jump the gun on Kimbrel. Not last year. Well deserved. I get it. There were very a ton of frustration. I mean, you just saw last season, and it wasn't the Craig Kimbrel they necessarily expected. Things didn't work out in Philadelphia when it was all said and done. Philly fans had every right to be frustrated. They were. On top of that, Philly's a tough place to play. The fans aren't always the nicest people in the world. I know from experience, from being one growing up, I'm just going to leave that out there. But that's just the way it is. It just didn't work out in Philadelphia. But what I didn't like to see was them saying, Craig Kimbrel, he's not going to save it until July and August to collapse. He's doing it in April and May or May and June. It's like, that's the Craig Kimbrel we know. Basically along those lines, like, we told you so. And it's like, it is early in the season. O's fans, Birdland, it's just like, have faith in the guy until you can't have faith anymore. And I know, listen, I get it was a rough stretch. I know you were pulling your hair out, but listen, he's one of the best closers of all time. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not saying that, you shouldn't be upset at a Craig Kimbrel outing or you shouldn't feel some type of way about it because he's going to go into the Hall of Fame eventually. But it is early in the season. Give the guy a full chance until you write him off, honestly. And you look at his first 11 appearances, 17 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned, 7 saves. In his last 5, before that 1-2-3 scoreless in the 7th and that scoreless inning in the 11th, 4 Ks, 7 walks, 6 earned, 1 save. That is not the Craig Kimbrel that the O's fans wanted to be here. That is not the Craig Kimbrel that they thought they were getting. It's the Craig Kimbrel you saw in the first 11 appearances, and they're hoping he can return to that form. But like I said, be patient with the guy, have form. Maybe it was a mental thing for a little bit, and hopefully he can get back to the Craig Kimbrel that we saw those first 11 games that he pitched with the O's.
And last point for here, and you got to be honest with yourself, all Oriole fans, When you looked at his stuff early on, did that look like a guy that was washed in the first 11 games?
No.
The answer is no.
No.
So if you can answer that honestly, you can look and say it is not a stuff thing. And last year, if you want to talk about statistics, he was top 10 or he's top 12 in strikeout ratio per 9 innings. He was top 10 in overall stuff ratings, which is, again, talking about how good his pitches are in all of baseball for relief pitchers. So my point, stick with the guys, understand it's a long season, and Craig Kimbrel is going to be counted upon for this Orioles team as they look to go deeper into the playoffs for this year. But you know what, Rock? We have another player that the Orioles are hoping that's going to help them.